Reading from the Gospel of Luke, the 24th chapter. Now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all the things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?"
Well, good morning. I don't know about you guys, but this weather is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's gotten a little warm for February, and it has made me feel like walking. How about you guys? Ready to get outside and go walking? It's been awesome. Yes. I know I've been thinking about walking all week because it's been so warm and so pretty, and I realize walking is kind of one of those things that we don't really think about sometimes. It's like breathing, we just do it and we don't really think about it. But then when we really start thinking about it, I started realizing that lots of other people, it becomes part of our conversation. It becomes part of our normal daily routine. There are even a lot of singers and a lot of songs about walking, right? So, for instance, in 1966, Nancy Sinatra, "These boots are made for walking," right? And then more recently, Smash Mouth has been known to sing that if certain things don't happen, you might as well be, oh, you failed the test. You might as well be walking on the sun, right? Okay, we'll have to work on that. And my own personal favorite is Patsy Cline. She confesses to us all, "I go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, always searching and hoping that you'll be out walking after midnight, searching for me," which I think is weird. Like, why would you be outside at midnight, wandering around aimlessly, hoping that someone else is out after midnight, wandering around aimlessly, hoping to run into you? That's just weird. Anyways, we've been walking all our days. We've been walking since early in time. We walk early on in life, some earlier than later. My brother walked at about 18 or 20 months. My son, the day after he turned 9 months old, was walking and never stopped. So walking is one of the best exercises you can do. It gets your heart going. It gives you some cardiovascular, but at the same time, especially for people like me getting a little older, it's a lot easier on the joints. We're made for walking. And there's all kinds of walking that we do. In one of my favorite Christmas shows on TV, Kris Kringle sings a song with the Winter Warlock about putting one foot in front of the other to talk about how we move forward in life and we grow and we change. So sometimes we walk with purpose. Other times, we're encouraged to take a stroll in which we can stop and smell the roses. So sometimes walking is about slowing down from the other rushing modes of transportation that distract us. Sometimes we walk to get somewhere. Sometimes we walk to get away from somewhere. And what I noticed today is a lot of times when people are walking by themselves, they're in a hurry or they're multitasking, which is a very dangerous perspective. I have a nice little picture of my bruise on my forehead from a walking tour in Germany in which I was having a great time with my phone and I ran into a sign. It's not smart. Walking takes the whole body and the attention of the whole body to do without injury. Some of the best memories I have of growing up are walking with my mother. We would get up in the summer. She would get up every morning, and sometimes I'd get up with her. And before the sun came up, when it was still cool, we would take walks. And on those walks, I would talk about school, or I would ask about friends or life. I would often ask faith questions. And so while we were walking and we were talking, I was learning and we were growing together. So it stands to reason that if walking is so important, we would hear a lot about it in the Bible too. And we do. One of the ways that we hear about it, and one of the ways I'd like to focus on today, is from our theme verse in Micah. We've been focusing this year on doing justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. But what does it mean to walk humbly? I could stand up here today and tell you all about how walking humbly is a metaphor for life that's not filled with pride and selfishness. Earlier in the year, I spoke of a time when I humbled myself. Fortunately, I didn't trip on the way up here this morning. But a time when we humble ourselves, when we make things not all about me. I think we can learn a lot, though, by thinking about the physical aspect of walking humbly as well, and particularly walking with someone. When I think about the physical aspect of walking side by side, there's a sense of equality that goes with it. No one is ahead, no one is behind. We're level with each other. And take a minute to think about the conversations that you have with someone when you're walking side by side. Sometimes close, usually non-threatening. It's a pretty even conversation. There's humbleness in side by side, and there's something that we share together. Think about when you're invited to walk with someone. Walking draws us into relationship with each other, sometimes in the conversation that takes place, sometimes simply being present with each other. We're not alone when we walk with someone. And when we invite someone to walk with us, suddenly it's not about me, but it's about us. And there's humbleness in us. Today's reading is about a walk that two men took on the day of Jesus' resurrection. They're headed to the village of Emmaus, and while they were walking, they were talking. And I picture the scene. I mean, it's kind of scary, right? There's all this stuff that's been going on. It's a little bit dangerous to know Jesus. I imagine them huddled together, walking very closely together, maybe whispering, maybe getting excited, then hushing each other. It was a confusing walk. Maybe it was sad. It was a journey that they were taking together, and perhaps not just a physical walk, but a very emotional walk for them. And then Jesus comes along and walks beside them, and he asks what they're talking about. So a conversation of faith ensues, and Jesus becomes a part of that relationship too. Being in a relationship with Jesus is even talked about today in terms of walking. I mentioned a few popular tunes earlier in this time together, but there are a lot of hymns about walking too. We just sang already together this morning, we're walking together side by side, and that people will know we're Christians by that act. And then there's other common hymns about our walk with Jesus. Just a closer walk with thee. Or, and he walked with me and he talked with me. And we're going to finish our morning together today by asking Jesus to ever walk with me. So what does it mean to walk humbly? It means we walk together side by side. It means we allow ourselves to be equal with others, not ahead, not behind, but together. And when we invite someone to walk with us, we invite them into relationship. A relationship that is equal, a relationship of presence, a relationship where we step together, grow together, and accompany each other. We put down our phones and pay attention to where we're going, lest we hit our heads on things. But more importantly, that we pay attention to the person who is with us. Walking together is a humble act. We do justice. We love kindness. These are acts done together equally in love. So today, let's get out there and get walking. Walk humbly together with God and with each other. Amen.